Hi there, welcome back to Terebelo Distillery Studio. Today we're going to do part 2 of Sherry Casks. Let's just go it over very quickly, and then we're going to talk about the most important point. Number 1 is the 1986 barrels that were cheap wood, used to ship sherry wine to the UK. Totally unpredictable. People took them because they were cheap, filled it with whiskey. Well, we're not talking about those because obviously they don't exist anymore. That led to a different issue. People are used to that taste, and suddenly there was a demand for it. They want to condition barrels or have barrels available to do that. So they tried two different ways. One is pressuring wine into the pores of the wood to give it that taste when they put in the whiskey. It wasn't very successful. The other way is to bring barrels to a winery, a sherry, obviously, of sherry, put in the wine, condition the barrel, remove the wine. This is obviously prohibitively expensive. If that taste is what's expected, that's what people do. However, the two things you can expect, and it's up to the whiskey distiller's design, meaning me, what I want, and how long you leave the wine in, and whether you clean it afterwards. Either you can want the sherry wine, what's called often the sherry bomb, or what you want to do is you want to remove tannins from the oak. Obviously, the molecular interaction between wine and oak is different than whiskey and oak, and a lot of times you want the wine to remove certain flavors from the oak, and then you put in the whiskey. You don't want necessarily sherry enhanced flavor. Now, you're obviously saying, well, I always taste sherry casks finished whiskeys and it has a certain unique taste. Well, there are different reasons why that could be. One is, well, it could be the sherry, but other than that, and the words of the famous whiskey author, his name is Michael Jackson, different than the one you probably know. He said, let's go down to the source, and the most prevalent whiskey that you buy is that's finished in sherry is Macallan. Macallan has one of the few distilleries that have the right to harvest trees in what's called North Galicia of Spain. It's different oak, it's a Spanish oak, with obviously imparts different flavors. Not only that, they have the shortest gooseneck whiskey stills in the industry, which means that most flavors from the water go over the neck, come out, and put the flavor into the whiskey. In addition to that, let's put in the last one that's different is they use what's called golden harvest barley, which is an old legacy barley. So it's very likely, like he says, is to combine everything together, both the oak, the barley, and the gooseneck that you're tasting, and it's not the sherry. So obviously you see that there's a lot of different moving parts, and let's just throw in one other point. The legalese term of sherry. The sherry does not mean that there has to be a sherry flavor in it. It doesn't even mean there has to be fresh sherry wine in it. All it means is at one point they had sherry. It's very likely it was the distiller said, I don't like the strong flavor of the sherry. He hosed it down, sat anywhere else. It was filled with other whiskey for years, as long as they used at one point with sherry, and then they filled it up. As a matter of fact, it's common industry practice not to call the first fill of a sherry barrel sherry, but to call the second fill sherry because the first one might be too strong. That we expected because sherry softens with age, like most wines soften with age. You want to wait some time and then put in the second fill. So listen, that's the take on it. Here over here at Terebelo Distillery, we have a whole different practice. We actually are getting Cabernet casks, wine casks, still fresh, still with grape stuff. It's going to be wild. Bringing it up with the mashgiach, we're going to fill it up, close it up, and with time it will evolve like wine, like a port wine, which is also a strong wine that they pour in other spirits into it, and then with time it gets softer. So too will be Tarabella's whiskey wine collection. Thank you so much for watching. Obviously, share it. Follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and share the love and get passionate and buy yourself a bottle.